Okay, Zoa, this is Magnet. And we talked about, or you asked me about sailing and using the stars and the sun when you're sailing. And the short answer is what you're using the stars and the sun for when you are sailing in the old days when you didn't have electronics is that you use it to figure out where you are. So that's really what you're doing. The the Earth is a big round globe floating in space, and in that space there are the planets, there are the stars, and there is the big sun that warms us up, and all those, we call them celestial bodies that are surrounding the Earth. They are they are moving in predictable ways, and if you can predict where they are going, and you can measure where they are and how high above the horizon they are, it gets kind of complicated, but then you can actually figure out where you are, and that's such an important thing when you're sailing, because you can imagine if you don't know where you are, you could go out into the open ocean and then just sail around in circles, and without knowing where you are, you might just continue to sail around in circles and continue to sail around in circles until you run out of water or food, or even like run out of patience, because it'll be so boring to be lost and gone forever and ever. So of course you want to find out where you are, and that's when you measure how high above the horizon the sun is, and sometimes when you can see the horizon as a line in front of you, and at the same time you can also see the stars above. That happens only at dusk and at dawn. So just when the sun sets and when the sun rises, you can see the horizon and the stars at the same time. So because then you can bring down the star with what's known as a sextant, which is this tool that you use with mirrors and a little bit of a spyglass kind of in it, like a I forget the word now, telescope. And in that little telescope with those mirrors, you can actually, the tool makes it possible so you can measure how high above the horizon that planet, star, or sun is. Most often we use, like I said, the stars and the sun. And we will have to have more lessons because there are lots of things to talk about. But one thing is, in the evening or in the morning, when you can see the horizon and the stars at the same time, you can get a height of a star in a direction of, I don't know if you know, do you know, I don't know if you've learned this yet, but if you've learned what a compass is a little needle that runs around, and it points out the direction where north is, where south is, where east is, and where west is. And so when you know the direction that a star is, let's say 90 degrees, that means that it's east of you. Then you measure how high it is over the horizon, and we have to stop there, I think, because this is complicated already. But I hope that first lesson gave you some idea of how it was and this is not even as hard as it used to be, because nowadays you have books that you can use. Instead of doing a lot of mathematics, You can actually use books that are, lots of the math has already been done for you, so it's tabulated. So you, and again, it's a little complicated, but I'm just letting you know that back in the 1800s or even the early part of the 1900s, you had to do a lot of math. In other words, numbers that were quite complicated equations where you were looking for the missing number in a complicated series of numbers. But nowadays, to do the using the sextant, like I said, this tool, then nowadays you only really have to know how to do plus and minus, and know what decimals are. You know, this is probably something you haven't started in your math yet, but that's actually how easy it is. So when, again, I don't know how much you've come along, but once you know how to plus and minus and decimals, I can show you pretty easy how it is that you actually can figure out where you are, as long as you can see the horizon and you know how high above sea level that you are. Okay? Okay, Zoha? We'll talk soon again. Bye.